Okay, at 6 o'clock, we're going to call the public hearing on the proposed property tax increase for school district to order. Roll call, please, Wanda.
Robert Bianchetta. Mary Gill. Here. Tom Hamilton.
Here.
Clint Harmon. Doug Landon.
Here.
Steve Rogers.
Here.
Ken Miller.
Here, let's stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the Board of Education approved the tentative 2021 property tax levy on Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. The notice was published in the Coal City Courant newspaper on Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. Are there any guests who wish to make a comment on the proposed tax increase? And this would be the appropriate time to do so. Are there any further questions? Okay, Jay.
So the board has the packet in front of them that I'm showing on the screen tonight. Just one thing we want to point out, or a couple things, that currently the district is anticipating the Board of Review to make a decision on a piece of property inside our taxing district. And as a result, that property value stands to increase the equalized assessed value in total for the district. As a result of the EAV going up, that means the levy needs to go up in order to capture that increase. The tax rate, however, will stay the same. We are bound by the trigger tax rate that's in the agreement with Exelon. And just like last year, the board moved to set a rate for all other taxpayers that is unchanged from last year. So again, this is not a tax rate increase for the homeowner. This is simply a function of the potential increase in total EAV increases the total levy request. And so the property, of course, we're talking about is the GE facility next to Dresden Station that stores spent nuclear fuel for operators all over the country. As you've seen, we're asking for a significant increase, and we hope the Board of Review gives us a favorable number on the backside. And so that's what this levy represents. That's why it looks larger than we typically see at this time. And we did just want to make sure that everybody understood what that function was.
So like Jason said, I think it's very important that everybody understand that when you see a 10% increase in the levy, that is not an increase on the homeowner. It's because there's an increase in EAV. In fact, one of the interesting things when you look historically in our school district, which is something I think our board should be proud of, if you owned a $200,000 home in 2005, you paid $2,965 roughly in taxes to the school district. If you bought a $200,000 home in 2021, you'd pay $2,219 to the school district. So, the tax bill is still less for the same home, the same value home. Granted, if you bought a $200,000 home in 2005, it's going to be worth more money now. But that's a function of the EAV going up, not a function of our tax rate. So I think that's something we should be very proud of, that we've been able to actually keep the tax rate, or the tax rate lower than it was in 2005. In 2005, our tax rate was $4.44. It's $3.32 right now. So, but that whole piece of the General Electric plan is a real important function of understanding why the levy is going up.
Any other questions? Anybody have any other questions? Well, if none, then we will consider this public hearing on the proposed tax property increase closed. So with that said, at 6:04, I will call the December 1st regular board meeting to order. Roll call, please, Luana.
Robert Piantetta. Mary Gill. Here. Sean Hamilton.
Here.
Rick Harvey.
Here.
Jeff Landers.
Here.
Steve Rogers.
Here.
Ken Miller.
Here. Okay, welcome, everybody. Glad to have people here. And Dr. Bug, I will turn it over to you.
I'm going to turn the first one to Mr. Spencer because it's
Okay.
from the high school. So,
All right.
Spencer, this is always exciting.
Absolutely, very exciting. Earlier this fall, we were very fortunate to have two young ladies here qualify for the state tennis tournament. The mayor and showed their school very proud by participating well in the sectionals and down at state. And I'm going to turn over to Mr. Lehman, who is coach, and let him talk a little bit about how they did.
Thank you, Spencer, and thank you for letting me come and brag about my team a little bit. We had a fantastic season this year. And a lot of us do these two ways. We have to stand up. You're nice. Sisters, if you can't tell, Molly Stiles and Abby Stiles, sophomore and senior. Molly played singles for me most of the season. Abby kind of bounced around playing singles and doubles. And racked up 38 wins between the two of them for my team over the season, which is the most I've ever had before, which is amazing. And then actually went down to the state tournament and won 2 matches at the state tournament, which did some digging. That's the most anyone has ever won in the history of our team at the state tournament. Granted, they switched it now 1A, 2A, but we don't talk about that part. Wow, it's just the fact that that's the most anybody's won. And probably proudest of the fact that we played some tough teams. They won their first round, which that's the first time anybody from our school has won in the first round of the state tournament down at our other level of growth. Then lost to a very tough Elmhurst team, which ended up as a team taking second in state. So that was kind of expected. That's just a really tough competition. They then beat Joliet Catholic, which we lost to as a team in a regular season, which is nice to see. They really worked hard to do that. And then we're really close in actually making it to the second day of the tournament, which is just something that we've never come close to doing. So overall, really proud of these guys and their accomplishments. And it's kind of an individualized team sport. So I wish I could brag about the rest of my team as well. They really had some good moments, but these 2 ladies are very impressive and made our community proud. So.
Girls, anything you want to say? Go ahead.
I'm really grateful to have this season, have such great coaches like Wayman, and he really helped us get better throughout the whole season. And I'm just really grateful for the experience to go to state.
Well, first of all, Coach Lehman, congratulations. Great job, and I know what that entails and what it requires. As far as the girls, Molly, good luck in your future.
Thank you.
And Abby, we expect to see you back here next year. All right? I'm not putting a lot of pressure on you, just the fact that we would love to see you back. So congratulations on a great season. We're very proud of you. It's just a great accomplishment on your part.
Great job, girls. And I know Mr. Lehman's worked very hard building that program. So thanks for everything you've done for all of our students in that program. So we appreciate that.
Parents, thank you too. I know how this goes, so I know what parents have to put on. So that's very good. Okay, congratulations, girls.
Good job.
Thank
If you want to go, you can go. You don't have to stay for the rest of us. We have to stay if you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, our next presentation is from the Coal City Music Boosters, who are here to talk to us about a music honor society, and they had it named out for all of you as well. So Amy, I'm assuming we're handing it over to you, right?
I think that's true. Can I speak from right here?
Sure can.
All right. So as Dr. Bug mentioned, we are here to ask that you consider a proposal for an Illinois Music Honor Society. A quick Google search of the schools in our conference, I discovered that Wilmington, Peatone, and Streeter all have a Tri-M Music Honor Society that has been active in recent years in their school. And Tri-M is run through the National Association for Music Educators. Illinois Music Education Association this year is for the first time offering an Illinois Music Honor Society. So it would be different than what is in the schools in our conference, but it is brand new. It is something that we would like to do for our music students as a way of connecting them across the grades and the types of music that they are performing. So our band and our vocal students would both be eligible for this program. And it would be a way also to connect our middle schoolers. They would be eligible as early as 7th grade. And what you'll see that in this proposal that we put together is that we have kind of a tiered system of application for them. So in the middle school level, they're asked to be in a music class and a music extracurricular or another music class. And then as they get to high school, it's like you have to do both and. So everything that is expected of them as middle schoolers then increases and kind of adds on to as high schoolers. Really gives our music students a chance to be recognized for all of the ways that they're performing and participating. We also would then expect, similar to an honor society, an academic honor society, would expect service projects, would expect leadership, and also will give us a way as music boosters to kind of help to promote some of the higher level competitions and things that are available. So for instance, the solo and ensemble competitions and the ILMEA district and state festivals, things like that. So really, we are trying this year to kind of really bring our music faculty, our music boosters, and our music students all into kind of one collective family. so that we are serving the music students, we're also serving the faculty. The faculty are clearly working with the students, but we feel like we want to have more of a connection with the students in the school. So we would have, everything is in this packet. We would have our meetings before our music booster meetings for the students. So on the odd numbered months of our music booster meetings, we would have the students come an hour before. They would have their meetings, they would have their own officers, but all of our music booster officers and teachers would attend. Creating a mentoring relationship. So if there's a president for the Honor Society chapter, the Music Honor Society chapter, they would work with me as the president of Music Boosters to kind of mirror those roles so that we are bringing up great leaders and great music students all across the board. So this proposal that you have in front of you was developed during our Music Booster meetings with all of our music instructors present. It's been fine-tuned. Our high school director has agreed to be our liaison for this program. She would be the one that would be on record with ILMEA as our liaison for this. But all of our full-time music staff would be able to be kind of advisors and a part of mentoring our music students. And then she spoke with Mr. Spencer. He asked some more questions, which we tweaked and changed a little bit more. So this is the final proposal as of now that we are putting before you, and we'll take any questions or comments or changes or as is.
Amy, first of all, thank you for this. I'm always interested in more opportunities for our students, so we appreciate that. Are you looking for this to remain as a music booster program, or is this something, because if it's a music booster program, we really don't have to have board approval to run it. It would just be informational for the board. If you're looking for this to transition to a school district program, then, you know, the board would need to take a look at this and maybe next month, you know, take action to approve it if that's going to be the case.
Well, the way that we have it listed on the nurse page is it's a joint venture between the school district and the music boosters. We're not asking for any financial support from the school district. It all come from music boosters and music booster fundraisers. Right. And then a $5 per student due for each academic year that they're involved in the society. We would like it to be recognized as an organization or a club by the school. So that is what we're asking for, so that whenever Honor Society is listed as a club or science club, or that this is also listed as an officially recognized club underneath the school, which is why we brought this to you guys. But we would handle all of the, you know, the logistics of the club.
Okay. So then you would be looking for it to be a school recognized club. Okay. So
But just with no money attached.
Right.
You're welcome.
We always appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely.
So, if that's the case, then I think
We need
Mr.
to take
Miller
a look, yeah.
will need to take a look at it.
That's, I
And,
think, what
you
we
know, it's not on the agenda for action tonight. We appreciate you being here. But I think we can get it on the next agenda for more discussion, potential action at that point. And that'll give us a month to clarify any questions or anything that the board might have.
Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. Board members, do you have any questions right now? Okay, then we will, you know, put it on hold for tonight and then take a look at it over the next month, and we'll vote on it then in January. All right,
And please convey to the music boosters, we appreciate them making this opportunity available.
absolutely. Thank you, Amy. It looks like there's a lot of work went into this and we appreciate it, that's for sure. So again, thank you. Thank you, thank you. And again, you don't have to stay if you don't want to either. But it's up to you. Okay, ready to move on?
Yep.
All right, so at this time, I'm going to ask if there are any communications from the floor in regard to agenda items or anything in general. And I know we have some people who would like to speak. Please stand, state your name, where you reside, and then you will have, Jason will put it on the clock and we'll have a time limit on your speech. So whoever wants to go first.
Can I lower this?
Yes.
All right, as Pastor Rick, myself, and others have spoken to you in the past about.
I'm sorry, would you identify, please?
I'm sorry.
Jeff,
Jeff Wynn, and I don't choose to disclose my address. That is my right. Pastor Rick, myself, and others have spoken with you before about what's in Public Act 102-0522, commonly known as SB 818. The sex education reform bill. We voiced our concerns about the dangers of this legislation, the age and inappropriate language, the gender, sexual ideologies, the indoctrination of our children to political views, and the training of our students to become advocates for all sorts of sexual and gender variations. So I'm not here to repeat all that again. I'm not going to go through all that gross terminology. I reviewed Coal City's curriculum on their health and sex education, and I don't find anything in there to be offensive as it currently is written. I agree with Mr. Miller and Dr. Bug that it appears that the district will not have to change what's currently being taught here at Coal City. But I'm no legal expert, and JCAR has yet to come out with their findings. I'm sure you know who JCAR is and what they do. So in the event that it's later determined that the district's curriculum is not in compliance with the law and changes have to be made, we ask that those changes are made in a way to exempt the board from having to adopt the new learning standards, whatever that may look like. In some of the neighboring school districts, they have eliminated their sex ed program completely and just go with health. Elwood 203 is one example. To alleviate many of the concerns of parents and the community members of Coal City, we'd like to ask the board to adopt a resolution to commit to the residents that they will do everything in your power to reject and not adopt the learning standards which align with the national sex education standards. This issue could then be settled. I've written a resolution that I would like to submit to Mr. Miller and ask that it be put on the agenda for consideration at the January 2022 board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for your presentation. As you stated, we don't have a standalone sex education class.
Right.
Now, if the state says we need to re-examine, then that'll be a different story, and we'll see what we can do as far as that's concerned. But as of right now, we're in compliance, and we're probably not going to take a look at it until, as I say, the state requests that we do something one way or the other. Okay, but thank you for coming.
I just ask that you, if that time comes when they do say you are going to have to do something, don't adopt the new national sex education standards. Do not do that in this community. It would be very inappropriate for this area.
Okay, we will certainly take a look at that when it comes to that time.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wish to speak tonight?
I do. My name is Emily McNabb. I have some, that's just from the research that I've done. I've heard that we are not teaching CRT in our schools, yet it was in fact passed by JCAR and ISB in December of 2020. However, the schools have until 2025 to comply with these standards. This was pushed through the systems during an unconstitutional, extremely exclusive lockdown on our kids from public school, at which time students, our kids, are feeling lonely and overwhelmed as many students' grades fell way below the average, losing memories, their social outlets, loss of years worth of sports and activities, depression, and suicide went on the rise. But hey, all the schools received huge payouts at the cost of kids, and JCAR, ISB, and the compliance of our schools plan is to throw CRT at them, a politically social activism curriculum, when they are underperforming with basics. CRT is destructive and not educational. It is pushing the leftist agenda into our schools by destroying the Declaration of Independence, shredding our Constitution, eliminating conservative and religious groups. God was removed from public school June 25th, 1962, but students can have religious club meetings, and students can absolutely pray and have the freedom to express their religious convictions. One thing CRT has failed to deny, as it amplifies diversity and expressing students' identities. So let's go, students, show your faith in God, and instead of LGBTQ and BLM, whereas praise, faith, hope, and prayers. Having teachers learn how to teach culturally responsive versus traditional speaking methods is sad. Do a better job with traditional and get their performance on basics up to at least average. Undervaluing our country's history. Yes, a big chunk of our history is white Western history. but we have Black History Month and Hispanic Heritage Month, and the United States history is a world of different cultures. And if traditional history has failed so terribly, then I'd say it's the teachers, not the history itself, because we also have classes for world culture. Shredding value to our Constitution. Neo-Marxism would be a hard sell. Equity, on the other hand, sounds non-threatening and is easily confused with American principle of equality. But the distinction is vast and important. Indeed, equality, the principle proclaimed in the Declaration of Independence, defended in the Civil War, and codified into law with the 14th and 15th Amendments, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, is explicitly rejected by critical race theorists. To them, equality represents mere non-discrimination and provides camouflage for white supremacy, patriarchy, and oppression. The groundwork for CRT began in 2015 by the Chicago educators that pushed the leftist brand civics into the states. Coincidence that also in 2015, Peter Dec announced at the National Academy of Science, and until an infectious disease crisis is very real, present, and an emergency threshold, it is often largely ignored. To sustain the funding base beyond the crisis, he said, we need to increase public understanding and the need for MCM such as pan-influenza or pan-coronavirus. A key driver is the media, and the economics follow the hype. We need to use that hype to our advantage to get the real issue. Investors will respond if they see profit at the end of the process. This is the domestic global terrorism event branded COVID-19. Indeed, the money did follow the hype, and they used the hype to get the real issue. Investors follow when they see profit at the end of the process, and real Americans are dying each day because of criminal organization unleashed terror resulting in the death of Americans. Every single act, the declaration of state of emergency, the emergency use authorization, the fraudulent face masks, the business closures, the OSHA and CMS vaccine mandates are all admitted by the conspirators to be acts of coerce the population into taking a vaccine. They announced in 2015, they prepared the pathogen in 2016 and laid out our terror campaign in September of 2019, and now they profit from the deaths of Americans. Masking our children is a form of punishment. It is destroying their social well-being. Kids and teens need facial expressions. Masking will have an increasingly negative impact on the younger ones, developmentally as well as emotionally. This is not normal at all, and they think it is. It's time this all ends. Mandating masks is the first step to New World Order takeover. It took Australia 5 years. The United States is entering year 3 as the COVID pandemic hits 23 months. Get these damn masks off our kids, who are the least likely to spread COVID, and stop encouraging a bioweapon. Dr. Pierre Corey says that it is in fact toxic to children, and our government is killing our children knowingly. Why are we all just sitting here and letting this happen? Kids survive COVID. Kids don't spread COVID. COVID is a plan to kill our kids, and the ones they don't kill, you are training to be communists. There is no constitution in a communist country. The Constitution will no longer exist. There will be no God in a communist country because the government will become God. This is the flow to create power and to enter New World Order. Americans need to stand together and stop following the mandates. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anybody else want to comment? Okay, go ahead.
Just from Bryson. When I asked my mom if I could come to do this, she told me I could, but that I would have to write my own speech and do my own research. She told me I should start and end with a quote and then put my thoughts about what I wanted to say in between. Freedom is not the right to do as we please, but rather the opportunity to please do what is right. By Peter Marshall. I will stand here for as long as it takes, and I do what I know is right. I think this idea with the mask is dumb. They make it hard to breathe, and not to mention the germs that they are keeping out. Yeah, they're staying out a little bit. However, the germs on the inside, where do you think they go? That's right, in your lungs. When you breathe, you are constantly breathing in and out of germs, and it's very bad for you. At my school, I go to Coal City Intermediate School. I watched 2 kids in my school get yelled at and were told they had to miss recess tomorrow because their masks were down under their nose. It was after recess and they were running around the whole time, so they were out of breath. So it was unfair to them. Why are we getting in trouble for needing fresh air? Masks can make it so people can't see your facial expressions. Sometimes my friends get mad at me because they tell me something they were so happy about, but they can't see my face, so they think I don't care. Sometimes if you're talking to a friend and they look bored or mad or sad, you need to see that if they are mad at you, Same as with teachers, we need to see their faces to know if they're joking or telling the truth. I like this quote. To me, this quote is very important and good to know. In the beginning of change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Mark Twain. I want my classmates to realize what we do have the right to breathe fresh air. We do not have to wear these dumb masks. I hope they listen to me and follow my words. I want the school boards to realize what you are doing to us is wrong and unnecessary. You are suffocating us. It is sad that you know you are doing it too. You know what you are doing is very wrong. It is not okay. So fix it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, then let's move on to the meeting. Are there any items that the board would like to be removed from the consent agenda? All right, then with that said, then I will entertain a first, second motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes and closed session minutes from the regular meeting of November 3rd, October activity fund reports, October treasurer's report, November monthly manual check report, November payrolls, December accounts payable, personnel items including the approval of resignation, employments, employee transfers, leave requests, extracurricular assignments, administrator HSA payments, and to approve the following building usage requests as listed. Clint so moved. Do I have a second? Chuck seconds. Any discussion on that? Okay, roll call, please, Luana.
Clint Harmon.
Yes.
Chuck Landon.
Yeah.
Robert Piantetta.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Tim Miller.
Yes. Any questions about the administrator reports? We've got them all here, so if you want to ask them a question, now's the time to do it. Okay. Luke, anything you want to add to your special population?
Just really quickly, I threw a lot of data at you guys. Just wanted to show you that it's not all doom and gloom right now. You know, math and reading scores, to be honest, we didn't really know what they were going to look like, and they were not great. I don't think we're doing awesome, but given the situation of remote learning and half-day school for almost all of last year, it was pretty encouraging. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I would be happy to kind of dive into that with you a little bit more in a future study session if you're up for that. Just let me know. And then as far as the preschool numbers, again, we knew this was coming. We were given this information last year about this time, and because of the timing, we weren't able to make an adjustment for this year. But we have made some adjustments. We've transitioned two classrooms to blended classrooms to help us meet these targets. So we're well on our way to being a lot closer to these targets. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions? Good, thank you, Luke. Tammy?
I just want to highlight the second round of the Illinois school report card will be released at the end of this week. Then the next time we'll talk more about how we performed on our state testing, which we did very well. So.
Any questions of Tammy? Okay, Dr. Bud.
Just one thing that I do want to highlight, well, a couple things. First of all, if you look at the dates to remember, we just had music boosters here, but it's a very, very busy time in the music department. But it's exciting. We have something going on almost every night. There's something going on tonight. So if you get a chance to stop out to the high school and see some amazing musicians, please stop out. It's always fun. The other thing that I want to talk about very briefly is what we have been seeing in terms of our COVID statistics in the district. Prior to Thanksgiving break, we had 8 total staff members all year long that had tested COVID positive. Since Thanksgiving break, we've had 6 that have tested COVID positive. Since Thanksgiving break, we have 21 positive COVID cases with our students. And we currently have 72 other students that are out on COVID-related absences for symptoms, close contact, things like that. Is it good news? No, that's not good news. What is very frustrating, and I sent a message out to our community about it, what's very frustrating is there's numerous situations where we have kids being sent to school who are sick, and then they turn around and test positive, and then everybody in close contact with those kids, which we try to limit, but they're out of school unnecessarily. And that's been a frustrating thing that we keep trying to talk to our parents about. And don't get me wrong, the vast majority of our parents are awesome about this, because it's not easy. But those situations when somebody comes and then 3 or 4 other kids have to go home is really unfortunate for those kids. So we're going to continue working on that and continue trying to communicate with that. The other thing is to remember, we are nowhere near where we were last year at this time, right, Mr. Spencer? Remember those days, Mr. Cripple? So, we have about 4.5% of our student population that's out right now for either COVID positive or COVID exclusions. That's nowhere close to where we were last year. So, but it is concerning when you look at the CDC website and you see that our positivity rate as of today is up to 13.5%. And that's concerning based on where we have been. So we're going to continue to follow the mitigations. We're going to continue to encourage our parents to be careful with our kids. But I wanted to bring all that information to your attention. Not that I think we're going to have to go remote or anything like that, because we're nowhere close to where we were last year. But I did want to bring it to your attention in case you hear things in the community about the number of cases that we have, because it has gone up. So, but kudos to our teachers, to our administrators that are here, our nurses, our secretaries, everybody that continues to work so hard to manage this situation. It's not easy.
No,
it's not easy. So I give them a lot of credit at the building level for all the work that they're doing to keep our kids safe and to keep them in person and learning. So just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. That's all I have.
thank you, administrators, for all you're doing. Honestly, it's not an easy job, and I don't know, I said I'm glad I retired when I did, I guess in certain respects, because it's certainly not easy, that's for sure. So and thank you for the update, Dr. Bug, and I know it's not good in the county, but there's not an awful lot we can do about that. Just keep our kids safe is all we can do. Okay.
And just, along those lines, we still have not seen evidence of transmission at school. We're still able to trace these situations back to family members, siblings. If you look at our list, which I can't share with you, but if you looked at our list, there's a lot of siblings that are on that list from the same household. So, we still don't have evidence of transmission in school. We still believe it's safe. Our mitigations are safe. Once again, which is a tribute to our administration and staff for the job they're doing.
Okay. Any questions, board members? Okay, then Chuck, anything about the GABC? Report is here. Anybody has any questions about it? Why? Certainly answer.
The only thing that I would highlight on there is number 2. We got a resignation from Seth Hedrick. He is the building trades assistant instructor for Bob Humbert, and Bob is retiring in another year. He's got 1 more year left. Seth was going to take over. Lance has really had trouble trying to find any applicants for that position. So if you know anyone in the building trades that's interested, that position is going to move from an assistant to the actual building trades instructor in another year. So there's an opportunity to train for a year and then take the position over. JDC is struggling like everybody is, trying to find applicants right now. He has had 0 applicants for that position. So spread the word if you know anybody in the trades.
That's unfortunate. Okay, any questions about the athletic director's report? The numbers are there for us to look at if you want to. All right, then again, I'm going to ask, is there any communication from the floor in regard to agenda items or anything in general? Hearing none, let's move on to old business. Okay, that's all I'm talking about next.
Yeah, the first item I want to talk to the board about and get a little bit of feedback on. Traditionally, the board has always asked legal to intervene on any tax objections of 100,000 or reductions requests of $100,000 or more. We've had 2 of those. One is the Hoffman property that is located on Reed Road. The other is from Ferrari Properties LLC, which the best I can tell, I believe, is the old bank property on South Broadway. where they have requested a significant reduction as well. I don't have any question about the board stepping in on the Ferrari Properties LLC, because that's consistent with what we've always done for anybody who wants $100,000 or more in assessment relief. The one I want to talk to the board about is the Hoffman property, because just to give you a little bit of history, that's in the Village of Coal City's TIF. And the last tax cycle, that property was assessed at about $13 million, give or take. Hoffman, the company, put a tax objection in then and wanted it reduced to about the 7.5 million, somewhere in there. The Board of Review reduced it down to about 8.5 million is where they're at right now. So he has put in another request for a tax objection to reduce it to what he had asked for the previous time. The issue is whether he's successful or not successful, because it's in the TIF, our school district doesn't receive those revenues anyway. The only revenues that the school district receives is from the original assessment of the property before the buildings were ever built. Because it's in the TIF, so that was the increment year. And so any increment beyond that goes to the Village of Coal City. That's the way a TIF works. So if you intervene, you would essentially be intervening and spending school district dollars on behalf of the village. Now, there's also the other piece of this too, which is if you intervene, it does continue to send that message that you're watching these assessments and you're going to make sure that, because our goal is always, we want to make sure that industry is paying their fair share the same way that our homeowners have to pay their fair share. But I think I'm questioning a little bit whether we should be expending school district dollars on a tax assessment that, win or lose, you don't gain or lose dollars. So I wanted to bring that to your attention before we have Whitlaw run down that road too far. So
Have you talked to the city? Are they going to do anything?
they're talking about it, so I don't know if they are or not. I did bring the issue to the attention of Matt Fritz, who said he was going to talk to the mayor and they would discuss what they're going to do. So they may intervene, I don't know. So, but that's their call, So I'll follow whatever direction the board gives me, but I wanted to make sure you knew before we just said, yep, let's intervene, that even if we win, you're not going to get it. So
Yeah.
I'll open it up to the board.
What's your pleasure, board members?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably there's no value in us intervening. I'm looking at Quinn to see what Quinn's opinion is, but, right, I mean, it's that, there's probably an overarching statement to be made, which isn't to do with the school, but it's what is unfortunate is when the business community comes to our community and brings what they bring, and then they fight every tooth and nail for every dime on the property tax piece and everything else, so you go back to the beginning when the TIF was approved, right? When we're coming here and the village comes here and we're all good neighbors and we sign on to it, then they bring the commercial industry here and they fight every dollar that they can versus being good stewards, good neighbors, because when the TIF settles at the end of the day, any value that's less in the TIF area is borne by the rest of our taxpayers. That's the thing. So yes, right now we don't get any residual value, and I agree not intervening, but it's the bigger overarching picture of the businesses that come here, trucking companies or whoever. I mean, you're talking about a commercial piece of property right on the main drag as well. It's the same thing. I mean, where's our business community all holding hands with our school district community and our village community to make sure we're all paying our fair share? It's a different topic for a different day, but sorry about the soapbox, but there's no value in us intervening here at this point. So
I would say, intervene in the one and there's no sense in us intervening in the other. Quint, were you going to mention something or no?
No, I agree. Kind of moved on one property.
I think so. I hate to spend taxpayers' money on something that we're not going to get any return from.
Okay.
And I think we've sent the message enough times that we are going to object if it's going to benefit us, that we probably don't need to at this time. Is that?
So, yeah, just so the board's aware, there is a timeline to make sure that you say that you're going to intervene. And to meet that timeline, I did have Whitlaw go ahead and say, hey, we're gonna intervene, we can always withdraw.
Yeah, you just, because you have to file a notice, you just withdraw the notice, that's not a big deal, right?
All right, so I appreciate that feedback, and everybody is in agreement then on intervening on the other
Right,
project.
so that's what I'm hearing. We're gonna intervene on one and not on the other, right?
Yep.
Okay,
The third one, remember, is a tax objection that we filed,
right.
That's right.
which is the general electric rate. And remember the general, which comes back to the levy that we just talked about. That the general electric plant, the current assessed value of that plant is about $3.2 million. As you know, we've worked very hard on that. We believe the assessed value of that plant should be $100 million. So we're a long ways apart. We have filed our evidence on that case, and we're expecting a board of review hearing in January. And at that point, whatever the board of review puts on it, that's gonna be the value that is in our EAV that we levy with. So we may have to come back and make some adjustments down the road. But that's, once again, comes back to Jason's discussion of why there's a 10% increase in the levy. It's to capture those dollars, those potential dollars.
And for those of you who don't know, they've been storing nuclear waste out there for years and they haven't been taxed on it. And it's time that they paid their bill.
Again, that's what I just said 2 seconds ago, another commercial industry that's not paying their fair share to give an offset to the residents that live here.
They've
So,
been making a huge amount of money on that by taxing other groups to bring their stuff in there, and we haven't been receiving any tax dollars, or very few tax dollars on it, so we need to protest that, that's for sure. All the way along.
Good.
All right, sir?
So I'll move forward with that, which kind of ties in, if I can move on to the next topic.
Absolutely, go ahead, yeah.
Exelon property tax agreement. So this 2021 levy is the final levy of our current Exelon agreement. As a reminder for the board, we are in our 9th year of a stable Exelon agreement, which is a good thing because we know what our revenues are. We don't have to worry about board of review hearings, PTAB hearings, any of those things. But we have been stable with about a $16 million revenues coming in from Exelon for 9 years now. I've reached out to my Exelon contact that I worked with on this. I've worked with this gentleman for 17 years. We have our first meeting with the taxing districts, just the taxing districts, set up for this Friday, where we're going to talk about kind of what we want moving forward. December 14th is our first meeting with Exelon, where we have our first negotiating session. Some of the variables, like I said, you know, we've been stable for 9 years. We worked very, very hard to help keep that plant open. And in those 9 years, our expenses have not stayed stable. Our expenses have gone up. Everybody else's bills have gone up. As their house goes up, their value goes up on their home. Exelon's been sheltered from that with the agreements that we put in place, which, like I said, is a good thing. But I think, you know, that's something we're going to have to talk about. Also, remember, there's new state legislation that was passed that keeps those plants open for 5 years, where there's subsidies in the millions of dollars coming to the Dresden station. That's a factor in value. We need to talk about that. There's also the possibility of a license extension. That plant, remember, Unit 2 shuts down in 2029. Unit 3 shuts down in 2031. Somewhere in the next 4 or 5 years, Exelon's going to have to commit to whether they're going to relicense those plants or not, because that's not an overnight thing. That takes time. So that, and if they relicense, the value of the station goes up dramatically because it's a 20-year license. Another variable that's out there is possible federal legislation. And there's a lot of discussion at the federal level right now of rewarding carbon-free energy. If that happens, that's going to have an impact on value as well. So we may be looking at, you know, a long-term tax agreement that also has some reopeners or things like that, and if any of these other things happen. I've had those conversations already with our Exelon rep that we work with, but I'm very, very hopeful that we can get that agreement done sometime in the late spring. It does take time, but sometime in the late spring, we can get that agreement finalized, I'm hoping. So, and you know, when you think about that, and I'll stop after this.
No, you go ahead. No.
When you think about that, you know, the current EAV of the Dresden station is about $490 million. We also have $100 million that is kind of out there in limbo with the GE facility. So even though the Dresden station is staying open, if we're out of an agreement, there's no guarantee that we're still going to get the $16 million on the $490 million EAV without an agreement. So we really have $590 million of EAV. That's a lot in flux right now. So we need to get a lot of things tied up in the spring, so we can make some solid financial plans. As the board knows, we've had a budget efficiency committee. The budget efficiency committee made recommendations that the board adopted regarding staffing and a lot of things. We've held off bringing that budget efficiency committee back simply because we don't know what data to share with them yet. Once we get that firmed up, we can bring that budget efficiency committee back and we can review some of those recommendations and see where we're at that point. So there's just a lot to do this spring.
A lot of balls in the air. Anybody have any questions about any of that? Okay, you good then?
Done.
All right, you're sure now?
Well, for now.
All right.
I was gone a while.
I know you do, yeah, absolutely. All right, with that said, then we'll move on. I will entertain a first and second motion to adopt the 2021 property tax levy for the Coal City Community Unit District Number 1 and to approve the certification and filing with the Grundy and Will County Clerk as listed. Bob so moves and Sean seconds. Jay, anything else?
Mrs. Elledge was hoping that I would talk for a long time, and I hate disappointing her, but no, unless the board has questions for me.
Okay, roll call, please, Luana.
Ralph Bianco. Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Mary Gill.
Yes.
Clint Carmen.
Yes.
Chuck Lander.
Yes.
Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Tim Miller.
Yes.
And just before we move off that, I do want to thank Quint and Sean for their assistance in helping us prepare the levy and getting some options for the full board to consider. So we spent some time on the phone when I was away, and I appreciate their efforts.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Okay, I will entertain a first and second motion moving on then to approve the lease award to Frank Santoro for 5 years as presented. Sean so moves and Bob seconds. Jay?
So I just want to bring the board up to speed with the property that's out on Spring and Berta that's currently being farmed. The current lease expires in February. The reason we do this lease now in the fall is so that preparations can be made for the transition between tenant farmers and preparing for what crops need to happen out on the property in the spring. We put the bid package out on the street. We involved the local Farm Service Association in Grundy County and the USDA office over there as well to help us get this bid package out and available for folks to take a look at. We did have 3 bidders. You can see the bid tab is enclosed in your document. This time we asked for 5 years of firm bid with kind of a rider in there that doesn't allow for changes along the way. And so you can tell from what the bid tabulation looks like. Different folks use different strategies. I can tell you the gentleman that we're recommending to move into the lease with has several lease farms across several counties here in Northern Illinois. So he certainly has experience in doing it. The only real difference this time is that there is a pollinator program that we are part of because we're the landowners. It actually helps the tenant farmer out because it increases the yield ratio because it takes the 10 worst acres and plants flowers there essentially. And so it doesn't bang back against any kind of crop and yield ratios. So I'm sure more than you wanted to know, Mrs. Elledge, but this is who we would recommend to move into this 5-year lease with. And I don't entertain any questions the board would have. Yes, Mr. Hunt.
What I'm kind of confused on here is the tiered numbers backing off from 23 to 27. You're starting out with Mr. Santero at 39,622, ending in the 5th year at 30. How many acres is that?
It's about 140 acres.
And then the other question that I did have, the language in the lease as far as the termination. Would I be able to see that? Termination language itself, how we can get out of that lease if we need.
If we needed to, yeah, you can, I can show you, I can share that with you as well.
Okay, any other questions? What you got, what you need?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Thank you.
then let's go roll call, please, Luana.
John Hanson.
Yes.
Robert Bianca.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. Mike Harmon.
Yes.
Chuck Landon.
Yes.
Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Ken Miller.
Yes. Moving on to new business. I will entertain a first and second motion, excuse me, to approve the following mid-year graduates, student numbers, and get ready, folks, I gotta read these numbers. 20-223-42, 20-2211-94, 20-222-03, 20-221-60, 20-221-202, 20-223-79, 20-23-22317, and the following mid-year exclusion, student number 20-22003. Thank goodness my wife's a math teacher. Okay, Sean moves, Mary seconds. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Luana.
John Hamilton.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. Robert Bianca.
Yes.
Mike Harmon.
Yes.
Chuck Landon.
Yes.
Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Ken Miller.
Yes. Okay, Dr. Bug, school calendar.
And I'm gonna turn this over to Mr. Spencer.
All right.
So we've been working with the union leadership, working on a post calendar for next year. I will start off by letting you know that the calendar that's in the enclosure is not the most up-to-date one. We received some information from GADC that will kind of lead us into some different times off and holidays and that, then when we come back. So we've been working on it the last couple of days. That's why it's not the most up-to-date calendar, but just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. As I said, we've been talking with GADC as well, because they do guide a lot of our calendar. If we're not in session and they are, our students miss out on that opportunity to do those classes. So we try to do our best to make sure that our calendar is very, very similar to theirs as much as possible. On December 16th, GADC does have their next board meeting, and we're hoping at that time we'll have a final calendar from them, or at least a pretty good idea of how that calendar is going to look. From there, we'll be able to put together our calendar. I think we have a very good start on it. Dr. Bug and I spent some time with the, like I said, the union leadership, and have a pretty good rough calendar to present to them. So once that calendar is completed, we'll probably get that to you, and hopefully in January we can take a look at maybe approving our school calendar for next school year. Does that take any questions if you have?
Board members, any questions about the calendar? Okay, thank you, Mr. Spencer. All right, then I will entertain a first and second motion to approve payment to the annual membership fee of $265 to the Grundy County Chamber of Commerce. Chuck so moves and Quinn seconds. This is money well spent, guys. I mean, I think they help us out with a lot of things, but I think it's just something that we need to do. Anything you want to say?
Nope.
Okay. Roll call, please, Luana.
Chuck Landon.
Yes.
Mike Harmon.
Yes.
Robert Bianca.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. John Hamilton.
Yes.
Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Ken Miller.
Yes. Okay, again, I'm going to ask any communication from the floor in regard to agenda items or anything in general.
You have one
Go right ahead, sir.
statement that I'd like to make.
Please do.
I do want to publicly thank the Board of Education. I know that I was absent for quite some time, and I appreciate the Board of Education stepping up, especially Mr. Miller handling quite a few things when I was gone. The other group I want to thank, and I'm doing it because they're all here, my administrative team, who stepped up, trying not to get emotional, but who stepped up in a big way in my absence. Mr. Spencer, Tammy, Jason, Wanda, all the building principals. You guys are in very good hands with these people. I know that I'm retiring here coming up soon, but when I was gone, it reassured me. I told them, I felt like a dad that left my kids behind. But I felt, they all stepped up to the plate, and this district's going to be in very good hands moving forward with this group of people. So very thankful to everyone, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bug, and we're glad to have you home, and we'll move on from there. And again, also on behalf of the board administrators, thank you. You did a tremendous job, and it's tough to go on without the leader for a while, but you guys proved that indeed you could do that, and you all did well. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for this and for helping him out with all he had to do. Okay, then with that said, at 6:55, I'll entertain a first and second motion to go to closed session for the purpose of considering information regarding the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, collective bargaining matters, and what else was there?
That's it.
Cut my sentence off. Okay, Chuck moves and Quint seconds. Roll call, please, Melinda.
Chuck Leathers.
Yes.
Quentin Harmon.
Yes.
Robert Lezak.
Yes.
Mary Jo. Yes. Tom Hazen.
Yes.
Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Ken Miller.
Yes.